Rom Mankey to $1 million medals. A story of unexpected treasure. Have you ever looked at something old and dusty in your attic and wondered, could this be worth something? The story of two guests on the BBC's Antiques Roadshow proves that you should never judge a book by its cover, or a medal by its dirt. This isn't just a story about a massive payout. It's a tale about how what we perceive as junk can sometimes be a treasure just waiting to be discovered. It all started when a pair of guests brought two cases full of early 19th century war medals to expert Mark Smith. Now, when I say full, I mean they were overflowing and not in a good way. The guests confessed they had no idea how to clean or care for the medals, which they had inherited from a father and son. They were in horrible condition, a fact even they weren't afraid to admit. Mark, a true professional, started the appraisal with the question that was part bewilderment, part plea. I've got to ask first of all, what have you done to them? Their answer was simple and almost nonchalant. Well, we obviously haven't looked after them very well. You could feel the collective gasp of the audience. We've all seen a few dusty heirlooms on Antiques Roadshow, but this was on another level. The medals were so grimy you couldn't even read the inscriptions on the rims. One was even displayed upside down. The guests seemed to have an almost apathetic relationship with the collection, even describing the men who earned the medals as pretty ugly. It was clear they had no idea of the history, the sacrifice, or the potential value they held in their hands. But as Mark started to examine the collection, something shifted. He discovered one medal from 1808 and others linked to the Syrian conflict of 1840. The excitement in his voice began to build. It was like he was a detective, slowly piecing together a valuable mystery. He zeroed in on one particular medal that had 5 clasps attached. Now, if you're not an expert, you might not know what that means, but for Mark, it was a seismic revelation. 3 clasps? Almost unheard of, he exclaimed. 4? No. 5. Wow. You have 5? Wow. At this point, you could practically feel the energy in the room change. Mark's passion was palpable. He couldn't hide his mix of awe and frustration, especially given the state of the medals. He told the guests, with genuine emotion, "You have kept these in the most appalling condition that I have ever seen in any medals ever, and you need to give them to me so I can love them." It was a light-hearted but sincere plea, showing his deep respect for these historical artifacts. He gave some quick, practical advice on how to care for them, but what he said next is what left everyone speechless. After telling them he had thought long and hard about the collection, he dropped the bombshell. "I sat down and thought about this, that you've kept these medals in this awful condition, and they're worth £100,000, or about $137,000. The guests were completely stunned. Their faces were a perfect mix of shock and disbelief. The items they had described as horrible and manky were now revealed to be a 6-figure sum waiting for them. It was a true told-you-so moment, but with a happy ending. Mark explained that medals with 5 clasps are so rare they are a sight even in naval museums. The surprise of the Badger's gold. But the story doesn't end there. It seems that unexpected finds are a common theme on Antiques Roadshow. Another guest on the same show, Sue Gilroy, got a similar shock from an item she stumbled upon in the most unlikely of places, a badger hole. While out for a walk, Sue spotted a mysterious gold ring near a freshly dug badger burrow. She picked it up, cleaned it off, and gave it to her daughter, Charlotte, who loved wearing it. But Sue, still curious about its origins, decided to take it to the experts on the show. The experts quickly identified it as a romantic memorial ring, or mourning ring, from the early 1700s. These rings were often worn by people in mourning after the loss of a loved one. The ring held a centerpiece containing strands of hair and a pair of initials, with a beautiful inscription engraved inside that read, "When this you see, remember me." It was a tiny, heartfelt piece of history, and the experts valued it at £1,000, or about $1,350. Sue's story is a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures aren't found in a chest, but are simply waiting for us to notice them. Both of these tales from Antiques Roadshow show us that what we often dismiss as junk, a pile of dirty metals or a random ring in the dirt, can hold immense value, both monetary and historical. So, the next time you're rummaging through your belongings or on a walk, take a closer look. You never know what dusty, forgotten treasure might be hiding in plain sight.